chit chat, really.
Thank you.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, the operating committees through the winter will come up with some ideas. You know, that we should replace such and such, or get this paved, or this repaired, or start a new program at a school, or whatever. And in April, the committees then take their hopefully 5, sometimes 10 or 12 priorities for capital projects and for expense projects. And I have to let you know that God knows why, but the city defines a capital project as any effort that costs more than $35,000. If you talk to an accountant, they'll say, what in God's name are you talking about? Capital project is usually something that's more than 3 or 4 years life, you know, like a garbage truck, really, which is, you know, $250,000, and you'll be able to use it for 15 years, et cetera. Anyway, for some reason, for our concerns, $35,000 is the cutoff line between an expense and a capital request. And so we took those lists. Each of the committees provided lists, and then I made sort of a master list of them, just in the order received. Then I took those lists and took a first pass at what should be the priorities for the for the community district. We are Community Board 8, covering the geography of Community District 8. Yes, basically this. Okay. And so then Farah and Laura and I met in the beginning of June to go over that list, because it was just from my perspective, and I wanted their input to view the whole district perspective with their perspective of the years that they've lived in the community. And then we came up with a list which was distributed to all the board members in June. And we ran out of time to have this kind of a discussion in June. So we're doing it now. And the purpose here is to take the capital, to start with the capital requests, which are somewhere on the order of 35, I think, 32, and you don't look, yeah, you may want to pass hers down. There are 32 capital ones and about 35 or 40 expense budget requests, and that's what we're going to be discussing. But I would note a couple things. I don't have it in front of me. It's really important that we take the perspective of the district. While a particular committee could have thought that this is more important than that is in their topical area, parks, education, traffic and transportation, whatever. But then when looking at the whole community district, we take a slightly different one. To give you a hypothetical, and it does not exist, nobody's suggesting it, but it's conceivable that there was a request for libraries to replace the filthy carpet, and it's not, but the filthy carpet at the Spuyten Duyvil Library really should be replaced, and you know, that would be a pretty big project. But there was a competing project for making sure that all the children at all the schools in the district got the free breakfast program, that it was extended to all of them. Now, the committee could have decided that it should be in that order, but we may view it differently. We may think it's more important to feed 5,000 children than to have a nicer library floor. Again, this is completely hypothetical. So the idea here is to take a look at that. And we, by the way, we did the meeting with Farah and Laura in June, and then Julie and I met on this last week to discuss it just for another set of eyes. And so this is what we believe at this point is a good starting point. There is no pride of authorship. My job as chair of budget is to collect and administer. I don't own a committee, therefore I don't own any of the, budget requests. So it's really a conversation amongst the chairs where they, get the opportunity to say this is most important or more important, whatever, and to have a discussion and maybe a little bit of horse trading with another chair or whatever to see how that plays out. So, any questions at this point? I'm going to bring up the capital one, the 2.0. Let's,
You just share
Move
the
it.
screen there,
oh, okay. I thought of that.
and this one, right?
I think so. Above. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. So, at this point, this is, oh, good, I'm glad you did 2 pages. This is the priorities, the priority that we saw, so far. Floor is open, fellow, committee chairs.
Is 13, hidden, or?
No, I don't think,
Just making sure something.
yep, no, it's a fair question.
Change should be ENS, DEP. Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
You're looking
Yep.
at, Parks and Public Safety, DPR, but that's,
The one that draft revised June 23rd.
Gardeners and personnel sufficient for maintenance is an expense item, isn't it?
It's Parks, Public Safety, DPR, Marble Hill Playground lighting.
13, yes. So, yeah, how did that happen? I mean, I printed this from that file.
If 14 is an expense item, and what I've got here under the June.
Yeah.
looking at the right one.
We are, the
It says,
capital
the top
budget.
Capital, but
You wanna look at the one we have?
It doesn't say revised.
Wait a minute, go down on page 1.
So David, see, 11 is where 13 should be, so this probably is a different copy than the one where you,
Oh, yeah,
unless I, printed the wrong one.
Please go further down on below 5, 6, and 7.
11 as, economic development.
Laura.
June 12th, I'm looking at June 31. So this one says June 12th.
12.
Yeah,
Now, this is the newest one that we.
So is the newest one labeled
Right.
initial?
You don't have the newest one. This one is David put up, so we can put the one that everyone has up if you want.
but
Isn't the,
what you would be putting up is 1.2, and it's, I just renamed it 2.0. That's it, I didn't touch it.
Yes, that happens.
It happens,
Yeah.
it depends on which version of Word someone is.
9,
That happens to me all day today.
Jonathan Scraggy,
So
you.
there were 2 that were sent
Oh, I know,
with,
I have it
no, I'm
on.
asking you, so I
Yeah.
understand. So I'm looking at 6/29/23. That's the most recent one, the version 2 he's talking about.
Revised, yes, that is the most
That's
recent.
the second one, there's like a, when
Two-
the,
That's the 1.2, yes,
right,
that's it.
this is the one we should be looking at.
Yes,
What about the ones that were
Yeah,
distributed?
this is the reminder.
but you see, David's trying to put a new version up.
Capital and.
It's not a new version,
I'm
it's
just
just
saying a
name.
new form with a new
name.
name.
Print it out.
Those would be the same as what you
May I
got.
make a recommendation going
4 total.
that we include dates?
You printed out all 4?
Yeah.
One of them should be the correct thing.
And then it's,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so that we all know that we're operating from the same
No, but-
version?
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah. Best laid plans. Did you send a reminder of tonight's meeting? It was like a meeting, it just came out,
Yeah, it does the
today.
same.
same thing.
So
I don't know what you got.
I have exactly what it's supposed to look like, because we haven't changed a thing.
Well, there was a version on June 29th that I had never seen.
This is 1.2. This is 1.2 for sure, because I'm looking at.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
When you changed it to 2.0,
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either.
No,
He just brought it
I just did it.
and renamed it. It's
yeah,
the same thing with a new name.
Handle it, and we don't have it.
No. It should be exactly the same as what you have, just a different name on the top. That's it.
It's the same, because I have it, and I don't have one of those.
No, but
I would suggest.
No, there's a problem because, like his public safety, 11, the cameras.
Can we maybe go back to the 1.2 so we visually see it? It's exactly the same?
Use the
Hang on.
documents that were amended, that were
Can we just pull up the ones that were sent to us? Yeah, do that one.
Oh, yes,
That's what I,
that's what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
Why don't you pull up the PDFs
Yeah.
that you sent out? All right, because these, which is gonna be a problem,
Yeah,
I think you're gonna have to take a lot of notes,
okay,
all right?
we will take
I mean, I was
notes.
hoping to do it, to make the changes on the run here, but I think that we're gonna have to go with the PDFs. I don't know why, that is different.
Reason retrograde.
Okay, so we're gonna do
But I have no idea what that means.
All the kids are talking about it.
no.
What, one,
Hold on, I'm going down here. Need to go back to,
you don't want drive D.
no, I don't want Drive D anymore. I wanna
So
go,
try FY 2025.
You can edit them, but then it kinda gets with, when you have a table like this, it gets all messed
I'm
up.
sorry, folks.
I'll
I don't know what-
give me
how
one
that
second, it will
changed.
come up.
Right.
I need the, where is my email?
That's sent today?
Mhm.
Did you send it again today?
10/27?
So why don't you,
We're gonna get it up, give me 2 seconds, I have it right here. Committee and budget, here we go. Okay, so this, we're gonna scroll down, here we
I know a
go.
few people who would agree.
well, that's in effect what she's gonna end up doing now.
Now, can everyone see this screen or no?
Yes.
I'm sharing, right?
Right.
Not really, but.
No.
Margaret Della gave you a thumbs up.
Okay, thank you, Margaret.
So you're falling asleep on your hand.
Oh, wait, do it again. Okay, we're just gonna have to scroll down and work on that this way,
Oh, I see, okay.
you know?
Go down to 11, 12, and 13, I just wanna make sure that, hang on.
That's the expense.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, we'll keep going, don't worry. After expense comes capital.
Entries per, committee,
I'm
all
sorry?
we're working on.
Sorry?
The one that you had put together as you got it from committees.
No, this
It's
is the
grouped in
reorganized one.
committee.
This is reorganized.
So this is the capital,
Other one,
this is where we start, where,
June 12th.
which it was when we met.
yeah.
Well, it's June 29th, so I thought the one we were gonna,
I see the,
one we were gonna look at today.
no, it says June 12th, that's the same
No.
one.
No, this one says June 29th.
You got today?
Yeah, there were two that I got today. I got one for the 12th, and I got one for the 29th.
If the expense date is different than the capital.
Yeah,
is
that's
that-
why.
No, there's four, I got four.
No, the 29th was 2 weeks after we met. That's a version that I was not aware of. But, all right, this is the correct one.
version.
Let's start here.
Was one that, wasn't there one that,
It's expense.
Laura, or
Did
somebody
it.
worked on after we had the meeting? Where they
That's
put
what
it,
this
The
is.
three of us met
This is it.
on the 5th and the,
so what's the 29th then?
The expense, I think.
No, it's capital, I can, it starts with boiler repair, and then redesign of bailiff.
Number 13 on yours.
What?
What's number 13 on yours? Actually, 11 seems to be the discrepancy.
11, yeah, the pole camera.
Safety pole cameras.
Yeah.
11?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's-
And then, reinstate arts in public
Yep,
schools is
yep.
12, and then Marble Hill Playground is 13.
That's it.
All right, let's work from here. So, each of you had an opportunity, back in June and again, in the last couple of weeks, to look at this. Are there any changes to these that, you'd like to make an argument for?
There is something that Nick wanted to have
All right,
mentioned.
well, let's
Yeah.
start here.
No, I have to say that even though I had put in a library, in the expense,
Well, let's stay with the capital. Sorry, let's stay with the capital, okay?
I have an email from Nick, the only issue,
Well, I'd like to take the table first, all
okay.
right? Deb?
The only thing that, and I don't know how Kelly feels about this, how strongly she feels about it, but number 14, I mean, I know it's kind of outside the top 10, but that's the Dickinson realignment. And I felt like that could maybe go down, below some of like the NYPD patrol cars and even like the lower Brush Park staircase. Because it's a lower priority for TNT, but like some of these other parks things, and I don't know how you feel about the patrol cars. Whether it
I
would,
feel it's a pipe dream, but that's.
Right.
I get it.
I agree with that one.
I mean, I think the Dickinson realignment is also a pipe dream, but I feel like it might be less there's less pipe dreaming for it.
But the perspective is
I don't know, I wanted to.
for the community district. I'll leave it at that.
I don't know how strongly Kelly feels. I mean, I know we want to keep TNT in the same order.
Troublesome intersection, and it's highly trafficked because people put it across Gun Hill Road, or if they come off the, what is that, the Monsoon Parkway, that there is a buildup there, and with the recent changes, I'll shift one.
Marty, you're welcome to come in, but you may be bored. Never get out. Okay? Okay.
With the recent changes to, that DOT made in that area, it's a greater risk for pedestrians, there, so I think it should stay where it is. That's my position. DOT really, and you're familiar with that area, that, it's not ideal. They've done a lot of work there, and they're putting Band-Aids on things over there, and I would rather that they, fix.
I guess I would just argue in terms of impact, that I don't know of, I mean, it's impossible to cross as a pedestrian. But, some of the other things, like, restoration of Lower Brush Park staircase, a lot more people use that staircase. For park, that's a very, very heavily used park. Cars, I don't know the background to that, because I haven't been involved with those. These things just seem like they have more kind of everyday people kind of using them, and where there might be active complaints. But, I mean, I defer to the larger group too. I just want to raise that as something I thought potentially move down the list in favor of, just in general, things moving up a little bit.
I think that it should stay where it is. Involve pedestrian safety, while I understand, the rights about the Lower Brush Park. However, that is a heavily trafficked area, many people leaving the hospitals and all the other, community agencies in the area go down traverse that way to get to the Deegan, which is another problem, so it is something for us to consider. I think it should stay where it is.
Other thoughts? Any other, particular line items that, the committee, would like to change? Oh, I'm sorry, so, Joy, you had comments from Nick.
Yeah, regarding it says that it was promoted from 10 to 23, and he was hoping to have it higher.
He also mentioned, if I may add, that they did a lot of research on this. They feel it's very important. They pitched it to the Borough President's Office and BOEDC. They're gonna keep pursuing it. That was another reason he wants it higher on the list.
And did he perceive that it would have a broader impact on the community or, community residents than others above it?
He did not mention that.
Or did he make a comment to you?
He said he was gonna argue it, and he is on childcare.
I actually don't even really understand the significance of it, so maybe if somebody could explain the significance of it.
George?
I can't, I'm, into this role as vice chair, and to be absent. And my discussion with him always does.
If I can, put in I think an educated guess. I think the idea is to have an app that, just like the rewards on your credit card and your airline miles and all that sort of stuff, I think the idea is to have an app that you can go to various stores within the community and get bonuses of some sort, to collect shirts, free sodas, whatever, in the future, purpose being encouraging people to shop in the district.
Like digital coupons in a sense.
Yes, quite. I believe that's what it's aimed at. And I could see, well, I'm not good. I'll give you my opinion.
One other point he did say, it's his only request on the whole capital priority.
See, this, it's really important to understand, this is not a competition amongst the committees or amongst the chairs. We are looking at it as the community district, and what we think is most important for the district and for the residents. And in my email back in June, I talked about the breadth of impact, how much it might cost. You know, a smaller project might have bigger bang for the buck. How much of the district, how many people in the district could be affected. But it's not this chair versus that chair, or this committee versus that committee. Why we didn't invite Marty.
Go against me, that's why.
That's right, that's right.
So I have a question though, how, to the extent that these are numbered, how is the determination made that brings us along? How is that?
The theory is how important it is, the breadth of it. For example, I mean, the boiler repairs have been on the top of our list because how the hell could they not have working boilers? I mean, to me, that's disgraceful. It in fact shouldn't be on this list. Should be something that the council members are fighting. But we want to underscore that this NYCHA often gets forgotten, and we want to make sure that this, which is a fundamental quality of life kind of thing, boiler repairs, that's how it got up to the top. And frankly, the number 2 one, the redesign and the repair of Bailey. It is literally central to the district. There are lots of kids that can use that park, and it's disgraceful that it's in such terrible shape that I think children would get hurt a lot. So that's the kind of thinking, in trying to create these orders. The other thing, I should have mentioned at the beginning, I usually do, is that the Borough President's Office, who we will submit this to, typically says, don't give us more than 25 or 30 capital requests, expense requests. By the way, after 5, don't count. So, I mean, we have to keep that in mind too. And so arguing about 15 versus 16 may not be that important. Arguing,
I'm sorry, meaning the money won't be there.
they're not even gonna look at it. They're really not gonna even look at it. Kira might. Kira is our friend, she's a former chair, district manager, but, the borough president's probably only gonna look at the top 5.
I would say that, I would argue though, like with the Parks Department, that if the borough president is looking for park stuff specifically, that they're gonna look at the kind of the list that committee has versus other, like the transportation, the DOT has, their priorities, and that the individual agencies also do kind of use the list.
More so than DOT. They do whatever the hell they want.
I can also add to that we also do go over our lists with the elected officials. We do go over with every single city agency. Maybe some of these items are already on their list, which is great, because then we can take it off our list. So there's other ways, right, that we reach out to get funding aside from this.
We will be meeting with the councilman, it's supposed to have been next week, but,
Yeah.
I guess you'll follow up on that.
Yes.
What would it count for, I hate to call it this, but it's a motion, from 10 to 23. Boilers would have been an issue last year.
Unfortunately, they have been for several years.
Several years.
Right, but
I would argue that part of it, just my own, I've only been on the board for far less time than David, but part of it is the length of time it's been on the list. Like these boilers, we've been trying to get them replaced, same with Bailey Playground for a long time. And things have a way of kind of pushing up the list as they become just more like, we have to get this done. And so, like, for the Parks Committee, I lead with Bailey Playground all the time when I go to meetings with the agencies, because, like, okay, what are my top things? So, like, mixing, this app is new, so it's lower. It probably can get funded other ways, possibly. And so, those things are probably also part of it.
I understand.
But it seems like the kind of thing that could get funded in other ways too, not just the capital. Like the capital budget list for the Parks Department or for the Parks Committee is like a blood sport, because it's the only way we get anything funded is to get it onto the capital list. We don't have a standing capital budget in parks.
I see.
For example, the Bailey Playground has been high on our list for years.
Yeah.
And at the National Night Out, Perina Sanchez, our partial council member, with Eric being our major council member, the two of them announced that they've got $3-4 million to redo it.
Okay.
I hadn't heard it until that night, but clearly this is something that has been percolating over the years, and it got onto their radar. A big part of the problem is it's sort of questionable about the influence that we have. I mean, the council member had a budget review 3 weeks ago, at the Y, about 3 weeks ago? You were there. And the list that he showed, the number one item was $5 million, and it's more than all of this combined. And he had 30 items. There are budgets and there are budgets. But this is how we identify to the agencies as they're doing their planning. I imagine that Parks, saw our carping about how just disgraceful Bailey was, that helped to push it up, and the council members heard us complain about it, and they took it over. We're really not gonna do much of anything with the Bailey Playground, but I'm glad it's happening, that's all that matters. Yeah.
May I just say that for several years, I know Kira and I, we met with every council person, every elected official, talked about Bailey and talked about pooling all their resources, so that's good. I mean, the borough president is very interested in Nick's initiative and everything, she has a budget, that's a good pressure item for us.
Right.
We get more from the electeds on select items than we do from 10-year plan, you know what I mean? It's,
All the park stuff, the park capital stuff, all comes from elected. They don't have their own budget, so
Their own capital budget, which is absolutely insane.
yeah, so it's,
yeah, and so we continue on a number of pressure points, is what I want to say. No matter where you are on the list, there's a whole bunch of pressure points.
Yeah.
This is all year long, this is gonna go on.
So in the interest of time, we're not gonna get to expense, but can we summarize our thoughts, or, you know, highlight changes, specific changes?
I'll just say in summary that I think what's great about the capital budget list as it is that it usually represents kind of community needs, right? The community needs statement feeds from this. And I think as that, it represents it well. Whether it's Step Streets, there's Bailey Playground, there's the boiler, there's the auditorium, you know, and then there's all of the joint Argus camera stuff. I think there's like the big things that really do get emphasized are there.
But are there any other changes that anybody wants to make in terms of the order? All right, can I take that as a consensus that we will, leave it, in the order? And you and I have to talk to figure out a couple of these, edits. But essentially, that which you've seen, was called, capital, 2025 1.2, it will be renamed 2.0, because that's like the first generation I called 0.1, because that's just the list of that which I collected. 1.1 was my idea of spinning it around. 1.2 is what the three of us came up with upon, you know, the first joint review, and then Julie and I met on it again. But now, this next go-around will be 2.0, and then we'll have a budget hearing at the beginning of next month, preceding the board meeting, and that will, the outcome of that, assuming, we will vote on it. Typically, the community members will complain about X, Y, or Z, but not really reflect heavily on, oh, this must go up, or don't even bother. It's more, you know, we'd like, you know, cleaner parks, et cetera, et cetera. So, I'll take it as a consensus that we will go with the expense list as is. I will talk.
So capital.
Damn it, yes, capital. And I will talk with Julie and Farah about the expense and figure out how to do that. We do need to do that in the next 3 weeks, and we will get back to you to figure out how to do that. I may prevail upon you to respond with any comments you have about the expense items, because that might expedite the next go-round. So, I would encourage you even now to, by Monday, come back with any particular comments you have about the expense list. So,
I just want to add.
I guess it must be 7:15. You never saw that before? Oh, my goodness, oh, wow, yeah. Let's, Laura, can we get that chair back? Oh, yeah, right, yeah, well, that's good.
Let me just talk.
Oh, please, please.
And we could add some more chairs.
What do you mean about the expense? Okay, all right, while we're settling in for the executive.
Stop, pause,
Folks.
we need to
Folks.
end that,
It doesn't really matter.
stop the recording, yes.
Between you and I and the officers. On August 8th, I got a letter from